All right, so welcome to another edition of Beyond the Stack, and tonight we have with us Brad from Firewood at the Furnace. Good evening, Brad.
How you doing, Dan?
Not too bad. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
So first of all, congrats on your retirement, and thank you for your service before that. But
Thank
one
you.
thing I wanted to quick ask before we get kind of going is, how is the retirement going?
I think I can answer that question by saying I wish I would have done it sooner.
Are you going through the stuff on your list faster than you thought, though?
No, I'm busier now than I was before I retired. I The only difference is that I can get up every morning and put on jeans and a t-shirt and go to work, and kind of do it on my own time, my own schedule. I don't have to worry about polishing brass at night and shining leather at night and getting all dressed up in the to go to work. It's much less stressful.
The show here is Beyond the Stack, so we are going to talk a little bit about Firewood, but I also want to just kind of go into some other stuff. So Brad was nice enough to send me something in the mail here. Is it Glencairn?
That's right. Yep.
That's how you say it. The Glencairn glass, and we're going to put this to use here. But what it is, it's basically a glass for drinking whiskey, right?
Yeah. So if you look at the
that.
box, if you look at the box that it came in, it'll tell you pretty much everything that I taught you on your roast video.
Yes, I see that. So I have actually here, I have some Knob Creek.
Knob Creek you have might be like single barrel or something, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I thought it was.
I have no idea what that means.
When they make the whiskey and they put it in the barrels and store it in the warehouses, and it sits in that particular barrel, everything in that bottle came out of one single barrel. It wasn't mixed with other barrels.
And I should quick just give a quick shout out, because this bottle of Knob Creek was actually sent to me by Gringo Pines.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a great gift.
Before we get going into some questions, now teach me again, what do I got to do here now?
So first you want to look at the color.
And that's kind of like
a nice amber color. Like, remember, this is an experience. So you look at the color, and the reason this glass is shaped the way it is to allow the aroma to come through the glass when you get the nose. You got to open your mouth. Now tell me what you get out of that. What note?
A burning sensation.
You don't smell any caramel, any oakiness?
Oh,
like
yeah. I smell a little of that.
So the thing about bourbon is that bourbon barrels are only ever used one time. It's fresh white, made out of white oak, and they make the barrel. They put the whiskey in it one time, and when they get the bourbon out of that barrel after it ages, that barrel gets tossed.
Wow.
So you should be able to, the longer it sits in the barrel, the more of the oakiness you can get.
We smell?
So you get the nose, and then we sip it, right? We don't shoot it, we sip it. And you want to get the flavors on the front end of your palate, through your palate, and then after you swallow it, you'll probably get a burning sensation. But if you it's an acquired taste, and eventually you'll be able to get those notes. So some people say they can get 20, 30 different notes. I always get the oak. I get spice, but that's the three main ones that I get.
And what are you drinking there? The Buffalo Trace?
Well, so I'm going to show you something. So this is Buffalo, right? Your favorite. Yep. But the recipe that they use to make Buffalo Trace is the same recipe for what I'm getting ready to show you next. But Buffalo Trace sits in the barrel for about 7 years. And then the same exact recipe sits in the barrel for 10 years, and you get Eagle Rare. This is also made by Buffalo Trace Distillery.
Wow.
And then one that I have here, this is kind of a high dollar bourbon. I haven't cracked this yet. I got this for my retirement party. This is called Blanton's. It's also made by Buffalo Trace Distillery. And it's about 93 proof. Everything else, the Buffalo Trace and the Eagle Rare, are 80 proof. But so the toppers on these bottles are collectibles. The horse is in a horse race, and for every letter of the word Blanton's, you spell it out, and the horse is in a different running position. So if you collect them all and spell it out, you can see the horse running. The legs are different.
Wow. And how old is that one?
That's about 10 years old too, but that's a whole different mash bill. That's a different recipe that they use for this one.
Jeez. I think 2 years is long to season firewood, and here we're letting stuff sit for 10 years before you drink it.
So we talk about letting stuff sit. The reason why the longer the bourbon ages, the more expensive it gets, because every year the distilleries have to pay taxes on the amount of alcohol they have. So every year that's sitting in a barrel for 10 years, they pay taxes on that whiskey for 10 years. And plus, you get what you call the angel share, which is the evaporation process that happens during the heat. So you start out with a full barrel of bourbon, and by the end, you might have 2/3 or a little more of bourbon. So they've paid taxes on it, and they have less whiskey in the barrel because it sat there so long. Plus, the oak absorbs some of it, too.
Very interesting.
I'm a wealth of knowledge.
Well, all right. Well, yeah, that is. I'll do one more little sip to that little spiel of history on whiskey. Cheers.
Cheers.
Mm.
I know you hate that.
So, as a state patrol officer, for how many years were you?
24.
24. Do you remember what the first ticket you gave? What it was?
I do. So I was on field training, fresh out of the police academy. So I had a trooper riding with me, a seasoned trooper riding with me in the passenger seat. And I'm driving, and we're working night shift. I start on midnight shift, and we ride around for a little while, and he's talking to me, going over everything that we have to do, the process of a traffic stop. And, making traffic stops at nighttime is a little different for officer survival reasons because it's dark, and positioning your spotlight in the car so you can see what's going on inside the vehicle before you get out of the car. We do at nighttime is we normally get out and we walk around the back of the car and go up on the passenger side so that we stay out of traffic. And the reason we go around the back of the police car is so that we don't cross over in front of our headlights and silhouette ourselves and light ourselves. So we go over everything we're supposed to do. One of those things is when you get out of the car, you don't slam the car door. You shut it quietly so that the violator doesn't know that you got out of the car. Walk around the back. So we're getting ready to make the first stop. And my heart's pounding. I'm nervous. And I'm 21 years old, fresh out of the police academy. So we stop this car. I call it in on the radio, call out the tag number, the location, and how many people are in the car and all that good stuff. I get out of the car and boom, slam the door. Around, get the driver's information. I come back and my field trainer's sitting there and he said, "Really? We just had to." So I didn't even know what I did. So he told me I slammed the door. So that was a very valuable lesson that from my first traffic stop that I'll never forget. Slamming the door after we just had the conversation. I felt like an idiot.
And was it for speeding? Is that what the?
For speeding.
What's the craziest excuse anyone's ever given you or trying to get out of a ticket?
Well, I don't know if it's an excuse, but it was an experience. So I was stationary radar one day, and I stopped a lady for speeding and walked up to the car, and she said, "Sir, I'm sorry I was speeding. I'm really trying to get home. I have to use the bathroom." And we heard that before. So I said, "All right, well, I'll be as quick as I can, ma'am. I'll check your driving record and I'll be right back with you." So I go back to the car, I sit down, I start typing on the computer. I look up and she's not in the car. And I was like, oh my gosh, this lady bailed out and took off running. So I get out and I go over to the car and she is on the passenger side of the car, leaned up against the rocker panel, taking care of business.
That is quite the story though.
And I never wrote between Thanksgiving and Christmas either.
Oh.
I only wrote warnings between Thanksgiving and Christmas because I know times are tight during that period.
I saw, was it yesterday? You were doing the delivering firewood and picking up the back haul or whatever. So
that worked out nice. That
kind
of happened because I had happened to be talking to my tree service about something totally different. And I said, yeah, I got a delivery right up by you tomorrow. And he said, oh, yeah. He said, I got some ash logs laying there on the lot. If you want them, stop by and get them. So I was like, that's awesome,
Nice.
right? It was
Yeah.
like less than 2 miles, I think, away from where my delivery was.
How is the firewood because you never sold, like when you started your channel you were basically starting to sell firewood, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a year. So December 30th was when I posted my first video, but I actually started cutting firewood in like the end of August, beginning of September of last year.
And
So,
what are your thoughts approaching the 1 year mark?
well, I've learned a lot, and that's going to be uh, content for an upcoming video. But um, the firewood is leaving quickly. The demand is way higher than I ever dreamed of. Everybody I've delivered to so far, um, I don't know who they've been buying from or what they've been getting, but everybody is super surprised with the quality and the way the firewood looks. I don't know if my firewood's too pretty or not, but um, the, the feedback's been awesome.
Well, that's great, but that's the one thing where when you start building up a clientele and then you start realizing how much you need, and then if you want to build on it, it's like, okay, now I got to keep adding to it. And so
So I'm almost out already. I mean, I've only got a little bit left, and it's not even cold yet.
yeah.
Um, I thought, I really honestly thought that people wouldn't start panicking until it got cold and snow started flying, after Thanksgiving. But people want firewood now already. So, I mean, it was 77 degrees here today. It's been down in the 40s and 50s at night. But yeah, I guess
Yep.
that first night, people were thinking I need firewood. So he suggested to me a while back that I should not sell my firewood until after Christmas, because most people run out of it, and then you can get whatever you want for it. But I don't know. My morals won't let me do that. To
Yeah.
somebody off because nobody has it.
Right. And plus, I mean, I think that when there's a demand, if you meet that demand, that's what sticks with the customer. So, next year you can probably count on them to come back. And
Right.
so,
So, like you said, I just got to up production though. I mean, I thought, when I started last year, I thought, if I could get 8 to 10 cords sold, that'd be a pretty good start. And here we are, 23, 24 cords are leaving this year.
wow.
So,
So then with the YouTube side of things, like how has that been to deal with as far as, creating firewood and creating content? Did you ever think, like, well, first of all, obviously I assume you're enjoying creating the content
I
because,
do.
yeah. So did you ever think that would be part of it?
Well, if you remember back to my very first video, I kind of started it because it was an outlet for me to kind of deal with my father's passing and to get myself away from mainstream media. Just watching the news every night just is it's depressing.
Yeah.
And after my past, I didn't need to hear anything depressing. I wanted, positivity in my life and keeping my mind busy, keeping my body moving and occupied. And, firewood became something that did that for me. And I did YouTube, that first video on YouTube, I kind of did just to, talk about what was happening in my life. And as it progressed, it just became something that I was getting a lot of positive feedback from. We talk about it all the time, how great this community is, how we help each other and learn from each other. And I was like, you know what? I don't even need to watch TV anymore. If I turn on the television, I'm either watching the History Channel or the Discovery Channel. And other than that, I'm watching YouTube. So it's really been good for me.
Did you watch a lot of YouTube before you started your channel, or was it kind of like about the same time?
Um, if I needed to fix something or learn something or do something, I would go to YouTube. But I didn't just randomly watch YouTube. Um, so, when my father passed and we were sitting outside around the campfire buying wood every night at the local grocery store, getting ripped off. um, that, think about cutting firewood, so I got on YouTube and started searching for people that cut firewood, and of course, I started watching your channel and Shive's channel and
And
the
then you
Morgan.
said, "Geez, if that jabroni over there in Wisconsin can make a YouTube channel."
You know, it sucked pretty quickly, and I went down a rabbit hole and just kept finding all these other channels and said, it'd be kind of cool to do.
Yeah, and I mean, there's been a lot more that I think have started within the last couple years, and I think it's just great because it's like you said, it gets you away from the garbage on mainstream media and TV, and it's a chance to like right now, like I wouldn't even know you if it wouldn't be for YouTube.
Right.
So
Yep.
I
Meet
think
some.
it's great that more people are even if it's just starting a channel to just make a video once a month or something. I just think it's great for people to do. So
Yeah. So I have pretty strong political viewpoints and all, but I think back to the NFL with football and all and everything that they did. I used to be a huge football fan. I would, have people over to the house and we'd have food and watch the football games and have a great time. And one of the things that really bothered me about that is how they brought politics into entertainment, and that was where you go to get away from that kind of stuff. And they,
exactly. Yep.
even though these strong views, I will never share those on my channel because I want people to watch the channel for entertainment, to relax their mind, to decompress, and not have to deal with that stuff. Have an
Yeah.
escape from.
Yeah. I think that's one of the big things that whether people realize it or not, like everything out there on TV is in a way meant to divide people. And that's
Absolutely.
like what they push for
Yep.
whatever reason. I
And
mean,
look how this community does the complete
right,
opposite.
right.
Brings us all.
Shrinks everything back together, a way for people to connect. That's what I find it fascinating, but yet I just find it so inspiring as well. Like some days I'm just like, wow, you know, all these people I know now that I would have never known, without getting like involved in something like Firewood and YouTube.
My sister, she lives in Virginia, but she watches the channel, and she always, when I ever talk to her on the phone, she always says, "Are you running out of ideas to do for videos?" And I said, "I really don't try to think of ideas for videos. I just record what I do."
Right.
And
What was like the response from like your family and like friends and did you like broadcast it out to everyone right away or were you kind of like let them figure it out and find out on their own?
so when I first started, I just kind of told my mom and my sisters and immediate family. And once I started getting a few people subscribing, I was like, wow, these people, I don't know how they found me, but they did. So then I started kind of sharing my videos on my personal Facebook page, and it grew from there. And I tell you, once I hit 1,000 subscribers, though, it kind of like took off. I don't even know. I don't know if the algorithm pushes it out more or what happens, but actually, I just crossed over 2,000 subscribers
Yeah, I
today.
was gonna say congrats because I think you're over 2,000 now.
Thank
So
you.
that's good. Yeah. But now has that added any like changed your mindset at all? Anything? Are you like starting to think like, oh, now I have a following. I kind of probably need to like make sure my videos are, not just thrown together or
Well, I do try to plan out the video before I do it. If I like when I get up in the morning, if I know I'm going to record that day, I kind of try to create a timeline on how the video is going to go before I start working. You know what I mean? I don't want to be bouncing
yeah,
around kind of mentally in my mind. But I don't want to stray from what how I got started. I just want to keep doing what I'm doing and remembering why I'm doing it.
what's the thing you think has been the toughest like as far as creating content like
Sometimes, like when I try to plan my day and the weather doesn't cooperate, like a couple weeks ago, I was kind of disappointed in the way that turned out because I didn't get to, I felt like I was trying to narrate the video and make filler because I wasn't able to get footage,
yeah
of the because it was raining so hard. So I was kind of disappointed in the way that turned out. But like I said, I'm just recording what I'm doing, and
Right.
that happened to be how that day went.
Do you enjoy making BTUs or making content for YouTube? More. Which one would you say is more enjoyable?
Well, making BTUs is more enjoyable in the moment, but I feel like making content for YouTube, it spreads out throughout the whole week. When I
Yeah.
come home evening and I sit down on the couch and I can go through my comments, I try to respond to everything. I really do. And, just interacting with people that I don't even know, but I feel like I know them. I feel like that gives me some positive energy every day. So
Yeah.
I think
I
making content, interacting with people probably is better than sitting around a campfire. So I don't know how everybody else does it, but if I get a moment in the afternoon or the evening, I might watch a video on my phone from all the other Firewood channels. But I watch a lot of my videos in at night laying in bed. When I get in bed, I television. So I try to comment on the other channels that I watch, but when you're watching on the television, you can't really comment or see, like if somebody tags, puts a link to another video or something that
Yep.
doesn't come through on it. So it was funny a few weeks ago when you did the behind the stack with Amanda, and how she was saying, how much time YouTube takes up, and you know it, how much it kind of takes over your life. So we are just talking about when I'm laying in bed at night. So I tend to go to bed about a half hour or an hour before my wife does, while she's getting the kids ready for bed and she's doing her nightly routine. And I'll lay in there and she'll come in the bedroom and be like, "Are we listening to chainsaws tonight?" She doesn't like to sleep listening to chainsaws, but that's normally what I'm doing when she walks in the bedroom.
You said you started Firewood a year or so ago. What's been the most challenging thing you found with Firewood? Has it been the getting ahead and staying ahead, or?
Yeah, definitely getting ahead and staying ahead. And, as the firewood is going out of the yard now, it's like, man, I got to start all over again. You see all of this fire, and you're like, man, that's nice. I got a lot of wood, and I start the process over again. So that's kind of something I'm adjusting to. It's good and bad at the same time. So it's funny because you can see my wood yard from the road that goes in front of the house there, and people will call me like, man, you must have like 50 cords of wood there. How much you selling this year? Well, I'm like, half of that, or almost half of that, is not for sale. It's not this year's wood. That's
Yep.
that's for, so I place not too far from me that sells firewood, and I drive by there often, and I watch them bring wood in, split it, and immediately put it on the road for sale.
Yeah.
So you know, to each his own, but you know, I feel like I'm not going to do that. That's just, it's worth the wait. I did a lot of work last year to get prepared for this year, and if you got to take the time to wait to make sure you're selling a good product. Well, I mean, people have different theories on that, whose job it is to dry the wood, but I just feel like it's most people don't have the space to store it. When they buy it, they're buying it because they need it now.
Yep. I always think of the analogy: if you go to the store to buy a dozen eggs, you don't come home with a chicken.
Right.
You
That's
want the eggs right there. You don't
right.
want the chicken to wait to get the eggs. You want the eggs.
Yeah. So I guess one thing that's on my mind is, well, here's a little insider information. I did start a new part-time job. Um, Part of my career with the state police, I was for 8 years of that time. I was with the commercial vehicle division, so I was like doing truck stuff, truck inspections, and weighing trucks and overweight trucks and stuff like that. So I have a lot of certifications in that field, and a buddy of mine from high school has a dump truck service that he's got like 40 dump trucks. So he's hired me on 3 days a week to do some safety and preventive maintenance type stuff. It's an office job, and I come and go as I please and make my own hours. Um,
Wow.
One of the things that's on my mind now is I want to up production for next year, and I got to figure out how far I can take this thing. Like, how much can I make in a year? You know what I mean? Uh, this this started out as a hobby, like it does for a lot of us, but you get to a point where you're like, when does it become work and when does it become a business and not fun and not a hobby? And like Joe says over at Ohio Woodburner all the time, you got to keep it fun.
Yep.
And I definitely want to up it for next year because things went out of there too quick this year. But I'm just kind of wondering how much I can do with the equipment that I have.
Yep. Well, and how much you can do to where, like you said, it doesn't become something you don't look forward to doing, like a
Right.
chore. Like, oh, I better go split that wood out there today, or I got to get that done.
Yeah, I will tell you this: first year probably in my life that I've been looking forward to cold weather.
Well, with the cold weather, it looks like you're prepared with that beard you got going on, so you should keep your face warm.
Yeah, man, I've had to shave my entire life. I wasn't allowed to have any facial hair when I was a police officer, so I told my wife I'm going to be looking like Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top here soon.
Are you just going to let it grow?
I don't know. I've never been able to grow it, so I don't know how this is going to go or how it's going to make me feel. But yeah, I want to try to see what happens here.
Are you using any product in it?
Oh my gosh, you're going to take my man card from me here. Yes. So that's something else I've been looking at on YouTube, and I do use beard oil. So
Oh,
I to keep everything moisturized and not let it get too dried out. But I've been looking at beard shampoo and beard conditioner, which I'm not sure if I can swallow that pill to have to use product.
wow. That might be like the soundbite of this whole episode right there.
uh, I'm almost ashamed to say it.
There's phases of life we all have to go through, I guess.
I mean, I already had to swallow the pill of all this gray in here. You see all the gray in here.
Yeah. Have,
I'm
have
only
you thought about brushing any of that just for men in there?
I will absolutely not do that.
But anyhow, well, thanks again. Any, like I said, any closing thoughts you want to leave here tonight, either for me or the people?
I would just like to thank everybody for the community that we have here. Everybody that joins in on Friday night with you. I know you don't admit to this, but you are pretty much the leader in this woodhound community.
Oh boy!
And everybody that contributes to this community, it's a great outlet for me, and I enjoy interacting with everybody. And hopefully, I'm providing some kind of positivity to the community, and hope you enjoy what I'm putting out there.
Absolutely. I would say yes, 100%. I'm glad, like I said earlier, I'm glad that people like you have channels. I'm glad that you're doing it, and I'm glad for the opportunity to meet you virtually and hopefully one day in person. So
absolutely. Yep.
I don't really have a closing for this show, so maybe we'll just raise up the Glen Karens.
I'll close it for you if you want.
All right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight on Behind the Stack. Stay safe, have fun, and be cool.